This week in games, Capcom sells its soul, PlayStation gets hit with a $1 billion lawsuit, and Jeff Kaplan speaks on why Overwatch 2 failed. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 291. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
He always insults me beforehand, so I don't think he
Why
really
do
is being sincere.
What are you talking about?
You just did. You insulted me. You said something of, what was it again?
Uh-huh. I'm waiting for it.
Something stupid. Something stupid about me.
I mean, generally, you are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You're doing it now. You see? You're not really helping your case.
Connor, how's your week been, friend?
Oh, it's been good. Yeah. I've been tired a lot. But now that's done. Now we're
done being tired.
We're done being tired.
Connor, I'm also done being tired.
You are?
I was also tired a lot, and now we're done being tired. Salute to no more tiredness.
Oh, come on, Tavin. You
What?
could have insulted my handshake.
I gave you. I thought about why didn't you use your You made it awkward by crossing under the mic, but I didn't care enough, and I thought we could hit some momentum. But then your expectations of being insulted. See, I feel like it's a kink with you. You have a shame fetish or something.
It's because the best thing about handshakes, right,
Uh-huh.
is it gives you the measure of the man who you're doing it to. I gave you a limp.
So you're aware that I'm a greater man than you.
Well, it was intentional on my part.
I'm more masculine than you.
No, I'm more intelligent than you because I'm playing you to a certain I'm trying to get you to say something and to acknowledge that handshakes matter, how you do them, but you didn't get it.
Connor,
you don't have that sense of understanding other people.
Connor, I'm a professional and a gentleman. I was going to wait until the cameras were off, okay?
That's what
because I am a professional and a gentleman.
We're talking about video games, Tavin. You don't have that. You don't need to have that level of professionalism.
Lots of video games. Lots of video games. Interesting week for news this week. We're going to get into it.
No, it's not overall bad, but mostly bad.
I forgot to prep.
What does that mean?
The comments, Phil.
The comments mean nothing.
I forgot to prep the comments.
Because all it's going to be this week is, FromSoft fans call me a baby. And I sound like a baby when I'm saying that they're a baby, but that's what I'm a baby.
I can. I have some of them saved that I didn't put in the chat. Oh, let me look at those, too. While we're at it. Let me see if I can find one that I like.
It's already all fucked anyway. See, I was ready. I was ready all on my part. But Tavin just seems to not be able to do his job correctly. Look at him.
No, I like these ones. I'm going to use these ones that you've not read. So you get to react. You get to react live to it, Connor.
That's crazy.
Live to it. But, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast, where each week we dive deep into the nerdy news you need to know in order to elevate the conversation around games. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can watch this show live every Monday afternoon at twitch.tv/2pennygames, where you can put your own 2 cents in live as we record, or if you can't catch us live, watch the episode on youtube.com/@2pennygames or mainstream podcast services of your choice every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time. Of course, our goal here is to always elevate the conversation. So if you have your own 2 cents on a topic we cover, don't cover, or just something about gaming culture you wish was better, drop those thoughts down in the comments below, and we will be back next week to reply to your own 2 pennies. Much like on the Instagram reel of FromSoft Games Aren't Hard video, k.slim.gym, follow us on Instagram. If FromSoft Games are like hammering nails, then Resident Evil is like trying to carry a bunch of packages up a mountain without them toppling over. Yeah, one could be viewed harder than the other, but they aren't remotely the same thing. I got a couple of comments like this where it was like, what's the point in comparing these? And I can kind of understand their perspective, but unfair comparisons or comparisons that maybe you wouldn't make, things that are apples and oranges, allow us to sort of dignify the differences between those things and appreciate the differences between those things, I think.
Or the other avenue of this is that you just kept getting screwed over in Resident Evil Requiem, and you decided, you know what, maybe it is harder. In Bloodborne, you're not having as much of a hard time. Maybe that's what's going on here, Tavin. You ever thought about that, huh?
It could be.
It could be that too.
It could be.
It could be you being selfish. It
I'll
could
say,
be you being.
I'm not dying that much in Bloodborne. I'm dying, of course, but you're supposed to die in these games, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not dying that much. For, I'm going to call it a series of games, even though Bloodborne's a one-off, but from software games. In our series up to this point, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, and even back in the day when I played Sekiro, I always die the most in the beginning. And then, the curve lets up, you get over the difficulty curve, you reclaim your playthrough, and then you die less on the back half, right? Still die, but just less. I'm not feeling the fuck, man, this game's kicking my ass. I am feeling the like, all right, well, I still got to be careful and I got to time things and stuff, but it's not kicking my ass yet.
That's definitely because I get what you're saying. I think that starts kind of changing with Bloodborne because I'm not into the turning point of the game yet. But I recall that being a lot harder than the beginning. But again, I'm dealing with half information here.
You recall it being harder in the beginning?
In the end.
In the end.
Yeah. I just can't. I recall that. Doesn't mean that's actually what it is.
Right.
We'll find out later, I guess.
I can tell you where I am.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I really haven't made any progress. I've
Chalice Dungeon.
Yeah, I was doing a Chalice dungeon, the first Chalice dungeon. So I've cleared out Old Yarnum. And I've done the Great Cathedral fight against the Vicar or whatever. Vicar, yeah. And then I changed the world state, and then there's a couple of smaller things that I've done. Like the girl in the window with her parents. I finished that quest line at least up to that point.
Yeah.
And then I met I met my first blood craved hunter. Well, I guess not the first one because I assume those are also the ones in Old Yarnum. They're blood starved, blood craved, whatever they're called.
Different.
They're different. Okay. All right. Well, there's that faction, and then there's a hunter at a different location in Central Yarnum, leading into Old Yarnum, that attacks you, and then there's an NPC that you can meet there. You don't know this?
In Old Yarnum?
In the place that you fight Father Gascon.
Yeah.
I think they called him a blood starved hunter.
Yes, is the one where you fight with Eileen?
Yeah, you meet her. She didn't give me her name. At least I don't think she gave me her name. Yeah, it's where. Well, I fought him, died, and then when I went back to that fight, those two were already fighting.
Oh, okay. So you can see her outside the Cathedral Ward, the main, like, I guess, kind of in-game hub area outside of the Hunter's Dream. And there's a dialogue. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go fight this guy. Just stay away from there." And then you can instigate the fight, and then she joins in on you in that first encounter.
Oh.
But I guess if you ignore that and just go and fight him, then it just kind of starts that quest.
I probably didn't last very long my first encounter because I wasn't expecting him to be there.
Yeah, he's tough too.
And so far the hunters have been harder than the boss fights.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah. Not like dramatically so, but they're definitely you gotta lock in more than those. But so Bloodborne review April 6th, I believe. Hard truths are coming. I want to jump to our second commenter Penny topic. Same video, also on Instagram Reels. I feel like you can't, and off that same thing of comparisons, I feel like you can't fairly compare them, but in a way they're both harder. In Resident Evil, yes, you have to survive on bare minimum, but then again, you can save, and if you mess up, you go back to that save. But at the same time, From Software games, especially like Sekiro, where you don't get iframes, there's very little margin for error. I feel like it depends on the person and their play style of the person playing the game.
I mean, sure, that always is true.
I think the saving thing is a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to the difficulty of these two games, because the FromSoft one's autosave. So like I'm never losing progress in a From Software game. I mean, Souls, but you're fucking
part of the game.
It's part of the game. You're always swimming in Souls, So like you'll lose 10,000, 20,000, a couple of times through your playthrough, but you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You can get them back. It's going to be okay. Whereas like you can lose an hour and a half of hard progress in a Resident Evil if you die at the wrong time and didn't save properly and stuff like that, which is what I was kind of getting at, is like that system. Like, me being able to just constantly throw myself at a problem until I solve it is one thing that I don't find as difficult as get it right.
Yeah.
Or suffer consequences.
And that person could have just done the base mode, which is where you don't have the ink ribbons. So there's less of that inventory management included in that.
Yeah, but that depends on game to game.
It wasn't an issue in Requiem ever, nor was even, like, the items that you have. I was seeing there was a frame that was going around online, you might have seen it, of someone in the Leon campaign completely out of ammo, like on every single level. And I was like, how? Like, you had to have unloaded them beforehand, right?
Brother, you must have been missing, or like you suck or something. Yeah, for that to happen. I mean, there were times where I was low on ammo, but always had enough. Always had at least probably 2 guns with ammo in them, There's probably a lot of times where it's like, I got 4 shotgun shells and that's it. But,
That's a lot.
if you're good, you can stretch 4 shotgun shells out pretty easily, And then there's the crafting, and then the game dynamically drops ammo with what you need and what you don't have,
It's fine.
You're fine. You're fine. I'll say Requiem on Insanity mode, though, fucking get fucked. That game's hard. Fucking holy shit. Just getting one-shot by everything. Holy hell. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, those are the comments. We've replied to them. Please drop your own comments down below if you want to engage in an elevated conversation like so. I want to shout out to the people who did engage in that conversation and did say, there was a lot of like, I see where you're coming, I disagree, or, well, it's really only difficult if you put it under that gaze, but who's putting it under that microscope? And I'm like, you're right. Who is putting it under that microscope? Me. But I'm an asshole.
Because you played one game,
and
then you played the other game.
I know, right? And then of course, you FromSoft freaks are so sensitive. You're a bunch of fucking trigger happy, like nerds sitting in your basement. Oh, get good. You're just bad at game. No, how dare you? What's funny? I didn't even criticize From Software games. That was just an observation of both styles of gameplay. That's all that was. And they just flooded my comments with, fucking idiot, you're a dumbass. I'm like, guys, didn't say anything negative about the game. Not even a critique. Like, that's how sensitive you fuckers are.
It's the fact that we have these From Software tourists. Like, you come in, you barely do anything, you don't interact with
I've played every game. I've played every game but 2.
Yeah.
Really, I've only played every game but 1.
Yeah, you do the bare minimum, and then you run away, and then you criticize it, and then you never play it again. So you're a tourist, When you go to a country...
A lot of people talking about New Game Pluses, which was not part of the conversation that I was talking about. I was purely talking about that first playthrough. But people were like, well... every Resident Evil playthrough after the first one is way easier. Or some people were even like, every New Game Plus of From Software game is also easier. I feel like they de-escalate kind of equally.
Yeah, it becomes a difficult thing with Bloodborne with the bosses. They just become a lot harder on New Game Plus.
Is it just damage outputs, or like, do they have new moves?
No, more damage output than it is like just...
But then again, like, but you have boss knowledge now.
You do, yeah.
So it's just like... where maybe the parry window shrinks or whatever, but you know what moves are parryable. You know what enemies are parryable.
Unless you're on New Game Plus 3 when you play the DLC for the first time. That's a
shit changes?
Maybe I was even plus 4. I remember I got screwed in that
the
DLC.
first time you played it?
Yeah, the very first time. I was like,
I wouldn't have done that.
Ass kicked. Yeah. Oh, well.
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
April 6th. Hard truths.
You know what I love more than Bloodborne, though, Tavin?
Very excited to talk about it. Very excited to get into those hard truths with you specifically, Connor.
Yeah, and I'll be shocked. I'll be like hard truth to the high heavens.
You'll be hard?
Yeah, I'll be high truthed to the high heavens. You just focused on that one part. But no, the good thing is, Tavin.
What is it?
We get to focus on the great government of Saudi Arabia.
Yay!
The Crown Prince bin Salman. Great guy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to
Salman.
our first topic of the day. This is going to be my first penny, even though you know more about this topic. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's EGDC firm has acquired 5% of Capcom. For normal people, the Saudi Arabia is investing into Capcom, much like they are purchasing EA currently and investing into all of our movies and stuff. They are coming in on Western entertainment pretty hard. Oh, I guess Capcom's Japanese, but you get the point.
No, global entertainment.
Yeah, global entertainment. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Saudi Arabia Crown Mohammed bin Salman has acquired around 5% of Capcom through one of his investment firms, which is a significant amount if you know anything about stocks. I don't, but I know 5% is a lot. As reported by GameBiz, the electronic gaming development company EGDC has acquired 26,788,500 shares of the company, which comes around 5.03% of total shares. The EGDC is a subsidiary of the MISC Foundation, also known as the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation, and was founded by the Crown Prince. It's the same company that acquired 96% of acclaimed Japanese developer SNK in 2022, gaining full control of the King of Fighters and Fatal Fury company. Saudi Arabia also bought 5% of Capcom shares back in 2022 with the purchase made by the nation's public investment fund. It's believed this new 5% stake is entirely separate from that transaction. So Saudi Arabia as a whole has 10% of Capcom, but through its different subsidiaries, 5% here, 5% there. To break that down. According to GameBiz, the purpose of this new share acquisition is said to be pure investment, with the aim being to make profit from capital gains and dividends. This is the latest in a series of investments made by Saudi Arabia in video game developers and publishers around the world. The most notable of these is the proposed acquisition of Electronic Arts, which, if concluded by mid-2026 as planned, would be a transaction valued at $55 billion, with the Public Investment Fund owning 93.4% of the company. In recent years, Saudi Arabia officials have said its investments in the games industry will help modernize the kingdom, but they have come with negative fallout due to the country's highly criticized human rights abuses. Notably, the Crown Prince has been accused of killing... Notably, the Crown Prince has been accused by U.S. intelligence of
Look at you failure.
We're trying here, ladies and gentlemen. Notably, the Crown Prince has been accused by the U.S. intelligence of ordering the brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Thank you. Murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The country has also historically cracked down on female activists and LGBTQ plus rights, with legal repercussions for LGBTQ plus individuals, including imprisonments, fines, or the death penalty, according to Amnesty International.
This has been a consistent trend over the past couple of years where Saudi Arabia has consistently tried to partake in, as they describe it, pure investment. And to be quite honest, that's a good way to describe what it is. There's two sides of it, though. That one, which of course they mention, but also the fact that Saudi Arabia doesn't have the best image globally because of the actions, as it mentions in this article, of the government. And, of course, that doesn't really matter in the world of business. So some other non-video game-related things is that they took control. They started a new golf league to challenge the PGA called LIV Golf, the LIV Golf Tour. And a lot of people from PGA golfers have signed on to that new group. And maybe in the future it will overtake the PGA. They also bought Evo, so they are in control of Evo, which has caused a lot of issues with some people not wanting to go there anymore.
Damn, they got a lot of money to throw around. Holy fuck.
They do. A lot of money in oil, and like many other countries, they're greedy. The people who run the government are greedy, very much like our own. And making these kinds of deals, it obviously makes them richer, but it also kind of softens the blow of all of the other criticisms that come with being a very heavily criticized government. The other part of this is they made claims that they're going to make slavery illegal, but they effectively had slavery. They were one of the countries that has the highest amount of slavery in the world, of modern-day slavery. And so are they really going to get rid of that? It's hard to say. But going back to the EA thing, because of course they're buying that one, and I hate to tell you guys, they're going to buy it. They're going to be able to go through with the sale. The government, I know there's some people in the EU that have decisions on whether the deal goes through or not, but I think it's more on the U.S. side of things of whether it'll actually happen.
We're going to get into it in the next topic, but the British do typically like to intervene with these things.
They very much do, but the British are known to just kind of fall in line behind the U.S. on a lot of things, like waging war, so is it really that hard-pressed to think they'd fall in line over the acquisition of a single gaming company? I don't find it very surprising that they would do nothing on that front. So,
I mean, a little reductive of Capcom. This is one of the biggest and most profitable publishers in the world.
It's just the fact that this is the most insidious thing, honestly, about the Capcom thing specifically is they're doing it through two different groups, but they're all owned by the same people.
This is how you are able to get around like monopoly breakups and so forth, or efforts to hold you back because you've just been able to, through these shell companies, basically get little pieces here, but you own it all.
And these little legalese stuff, or whatever you would call it, they're kind of made to be hard to understand unless you're in the know.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't want to say too much more on it because there's things that I'm definitely not seeing in this deal of what the actual purpose of it is and the difference in splitting it between these two different groups. The what was it called again? The private investment fund,
EGDC, and then the foundation.
Private investment fund. It's something, the PI something.
The EGDC, the Electronic Gaming Development Company, and then the other 5% was made by
the Public Investment Fund,
the nation's Public Investment Fund,
the PIF. Yeah, so don't really be surprised if you see some other acquisitions coming down the line or buying of shares. It's going to happen. They're not stopping. They clearly ramped it up ever since they started getting into like golf and other video game companies. So
And movies, and you brought it up with you just said it.
The golf tour, live golf tour, the
live golf tour. Okay, yes, that was the same thing. Okay, yes. And then most infamously and notably, they invested in a bunch of American comedians, some of which you would have hoped would have known better or done better. Looking at you, Bill Burr. Looking at you, Dave Chappelle. Ideally, you guys would have been better about that, but invited a bunch of Western and American comedians out to perform in Saudi Arabia, and they took that bag.
They did, and probably that stage was built by slave labor, effectively.
Yeah,
and that's completely ignored because, again, money. Money is the absolute corrupting force in the world.
What do you feel about, off the topic of video games, the Dave Chappelle's response to that was, well, the money's better in my pocket than theirs.
Yeah, it's a cop-out pussy answer.
I agree.
Him and Bill Burr, mainly Bill Burr, because...
I'm more disappointed in Bill Burr.
So am I, because he was always...
He talks the talk and walks the walk, usually.
It's just this one time, because so much money was thrown in his face. He did it. I know I know he had, crashed out over people consistently bringing it up, and he never dealt with it properly. The only thing I know about Dave Chappelle is that he kind of brought up Israel as... all of the stuff they do with how much they pay people to basically do propaganda for them, and he used that as an excuse for why it's okay to do what he did.
Scapegoating your way out of it does not make your actions less disagreeable.
Exactly, yeah. So very pathetic. And again, this is all intended to normalize what it is Saudi Arabia does. Because again, a lot of the Bill Burr made the comment I remember now of he's like, well, these people, you kind of think of them as terrorists because you've been taught to think that way, and they're people. And I'm like, yeah, that's true about the people of Saudi Arabia, not the government.
Every person is people. Yeah, but, I know, they're out here. They're still out here committing crimes or doing things like that. Now, granted, I guess he's right. The people in the crowd are probably just people.
Yeah.
Or a percentage of them are just people. But there's still people in that crowd who are also scumbags and evil people. Committing human rights violations. But and the people you're directly taking money from are direct actors in these human rights violations. So that's where the problem arises. Now, when it comes back to video games and Capcom's a publicly traded company. Anybody can come in and buy stocks and sharehold in the things. That's just how the free market and the stock system works,
Yeah.
So, this is just one of hey, man, keep your eye on it. This is happening. It's continuing to happen, and it's going to continue to be a problem. And Saudi Arabia is going to have to be addressed at some point because they are sticking I have never seen in my lifetime a government entity, I should say probably a foreign government entity because I benefit off of America's actions off of this. But I've never seen a government entity so quickly and so abrasively enter a market like I've seen Saudi Arabia enter it in the last, Connor, 3 years?
It is true, yeah. The only thing that can combat that can be compared is either Israel or, as you said, the United States.
Yeah.
But the United States is more established. Yeah, your point of it's just kind of come out of nowhere.
Generally is kind of already in control of these things because of their colonialist acts and so forth over the last 200 years.
World War II, basically. Yeah. Well before that even.
Yeah, right. Well before I was obviously born. And then of course Israel does do the same thing and certainly does it on a more political global scale, less entertainment focused, and then also committing
genocide,
war crimes. Yeah, so that's very problematic. So yeah, this is a problematic thing. I don't expect it to really make a difference in Capcom.
Oh, it didn't make any difference with SNK because the developers, even when this came out, they're like, "Hey, this isn't going to impact us at all." And then they did City of Wolves, Garo City of Wolves, the most recent game.
Yeah,
there's nothing there to indicate that they reduced anything for the sake of Saudi Arabia. Because again, that's not what Saudi Arabia's intention is. They want to be seen as just like a good, maybe not necessarily good entity, but one that's not going to infringe upon the art that it starts to fund.
They're trying. They're just trying to improve their public standing.
They are, yeah. So they're not going to institute
without actually changing their ways. They're still doing all the terrible things.
And again, I will say they did say they're going to roll back the slavery, which is kind of a crazy thing to say.
We'll see. or the death penalty on LGBT people.
Oh, they never said they're rolling that back.
Okay, all right, great. I want to give a shout out to Danny. I'm sorry, I forgot it last time. Danny Maduro.
Holy shit!
Danny, he's from last week. Is it returning?
No, he's the president of Venice. He's the president of Venezuela.
Is that the name of the president of Venezuela?
Nicolas Maduro.
Oh, Maduro. Okay, so Danny's out here doing something else. Okay, Maduro's also probably just a common name.
It probably is.
Probably just a common name. Returning video viewer from last week says W podcast and money makes people do things. Haha. Yeah. Unfortunately. Now I will say, if you're going to invest in a public traded company in games, Capcom's kind of the one to do it. They've been on fire for the last decade. You know, just banger and banger and banger and hit after hit after hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at what Monster Hunter Worlds did, what the run that they've had with Resident Evil, what Monster Hunter Wilds has done, and I think Street Fighter 6 was like lauded as like fastest selling in its franchise,
game or something like that,
or something like that, right? And then now Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9 crossing the 6 million figure mark. Last week alone, we said they'd already crossed 5 million, crossing 6 million now, and becoming the fastest selling entry in the series' history. Congratulations to Capcom. Congratulations to the Resident Evil team. But as a business decision, Capcom's probably a pretty strong move. You know, can't say that. Yeah,
they're doing good, so
but
it means more money in the pockets.
I mean, ideally, if you're Saudi Arabia and you're investing, you go, I would just keep doing business as normal, guys. You know, we're just making money off you now.
10% of Capcom is owned by Saudi Arabia is really
that's upsetting.
Story. Yeah,
that's upsetting. A tenth of Capcom is owned by an entity like Saudi Arabia. But Connor,
at least it's not as big as it's bigger than SNK, so there's not really the chance of it getting like 97% of the company. So
do they have 97% of SNK?
SNK, yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
So they mainly own it now.
Oh yeah, Connor. Yeah. But I mean, 10%. You have to remember, like, these percentages are divvied up amongst a bunch of people. So like 10% is a lot.
It is, yeah.
Like, to get a majority ownership through stock, you don't need 51%. You know, you need I think 30 typically, like 20s to 30s.
That gives you a lot of power within that company.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Moving on to topic number 2 and my second penny of the day. Danny asks, does that mean more Capcom games are coming? I mean, yes, but more Capcom games were coming anyway.
This isn't going to affect anything besides the wallet of, like, bin Salman and the government of Saudi Arabia. Whoever else, whatever other individuals might benefit from this deal, that's really the only people that are going to really see any change.
Yeah.
It's just the fact on our end, we don't want these companies to be owned at all by these evil governments,
right?
Let alone 10% of them.
The pace that we've been getting Capcom games will probably remain the same. Now, the quality is a different conversation, but so many things affect quality that, like, I mean, maybe we could drive it to this 10% ownership, but there could also be 100 other reasons why the quality would dip in a Capcom game.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I don't believe that they will. They're on such a hot streak right now. I don't see that hot streak ending anytime soon because they've really, like, gotten their shit together. There was a time, once upon a time, where that was not the case, but I don't think so. Moving on, topic number 2, my second penny of the day. Sony hit with a $2.67 billion lawsuit over alleged monopoly digital games sales. It's worth noting, we didn't say it last time. The last story was from VGC, written by Chris Scullion. This is Polygon by Austin Manchester. A tribunal... Did I miss a line? No. Okay.
No.
A tribunal in the United Kingdom is hearing a class action lawsuit against Sony for monopolizing digital game sales via its PlayStation Store. The BBC has reported. First filed in 2022 by consumer rights advocate Alex Neil, the lawsuit argues that PlayStation owners have faced, quote, excessive and unfair charges via Sony's closed ecosystem. As it stands now, the only storefront available on PlayStation consoles is Sony's. Quote, the result is that Sony can and does set the retail prices of all such content itself without facing any retail competition for digital content, the lawsuit representative Robert Palmer KC said. Quote, it allows it to obtain monopoly profits from digital distribution, setting retail prices at what it refers to as its target margin of an excessive and unfair 30% above the level of the digital wholesale prices. The lawsuit is seeking 2 billion euros or $2.67 billion American on behalf of an estimated 12.2 million users, which would equate to about 162 euros, about $216 per person. The UK PlayStation users who have purchased a game from the PlayStation Store over roughly the past decade are eligible. Damn. Sony argued that adding third-party storefronts, because an extra like $200 would, you know, go pretty nicely in my pocket. You know what I mean? I would definitely sign up for whatever thing I had to sign up for to get that refund. Anyways, Excuse me.
Come on.
Sony argued that adding third-party storefronts would pose a security risk, but did not specify how. It also argued that the sale of digital games helps to subsidize low-margin hardware sales. The current generation of consoles has prioritized a digital-focused approach. The launch version of the PlayStation 5 came in two models, one with a disc and one without, a disc drive and one without. When the PlayStation 5 Pro launched a few years later, it was exclusively digital only. An external disc drive can be purchased separately. It's not known how many of the 92 million PS5 Sony has shipped are digital only, but the sales of physical games have been steadily falling for years. The BBC noted the tribunal is expected to take about 10 weeks. Whatever the decision is, Sony's peers at Xbox and Nintendo will surely be paying attention, as their platforms aren't too dissimilar from Sony's. The only place to buy a digital game on a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 console is at Nintendo's eShop, for example. This isn't the only time Sony has been sued over digital sales. A similar class action lawsuit was filed in the Netherlands last year, arguing Sony has been, quote, abusing its dominant position in the console market for at least a decade. I think we covered this story.
We did.
Yeah. According to a press release via Eurogamer, Valve has also faced similar legal action over its digital storefront, Steam. If these lawsuits are successful, we could see drastic changes to the way digital games are sold, not just on PlayStation, but across consoles. Video game companies aren't the only ones who've been challenged over their digital storefronts. The European Union has now made it so iPhone users can legally download apps from third-party marketplaces outside of Apple's official app store. And if you're a longtime viewer of this podcast, one of the first stories that we covered was when Epic Games went at Apple and Google Play for basically the same idea of like, hey, you're taking a large percentage and you're not allowing us to sell it any other way. Mm-hmm. And they did win that lawsuit against Apple and I believe against Google as well, which led into the one that we just talked about there. And then, of course, there's been other things, other court cases that I believe have all kind of gone the same way, where it's like, hey, yeah, you're kind of monopolizing yourself here on this storefront, and you need to figure out a different way. What does this mean for the gamer? Well, if they win, the people who are filing the lawsuit, only positive things. Well, I'm not going to say only positive things, but some positive things, right? It could result in a number of different things where it could force these companies with only one digital storefront, like PlayStation with its PlayStation Store, to have to follow market prices. So if what's a good example? If Resident Evil Requiem drops in price on Steam to like $30 flat, which Capcom is known to do, then where PlayStation could say, no, it's still $70 here, would have to comply with that. Now, I believe the publisher generally sets the price anyway, and then it's just a percentage taken from the storefront of that. Usually it's a 30-70 split, 30% going to the store owner. That's how Steam works. I believe that's how PlayStation works with third-party publishers.
I think we looked that up before, too. So
if you want to fact-check me real quick, we can do that. But the conversation of, well, what about games that are exclusive to Sony hardware, like Spider-Man 2, like Ghost of Yotei, and more recent games, because this does get a little tricky because this lines up almost simultaneously with the word is that PlayStation is pulling back their program to put PlayStation exclusive games on PC. So they're going to pull that back so you can only get them on PlayStation consoles. So what does that mean for PlayStation owners in that sense? Because then PlayStation has complete dominance over where you get the title, and they still get 100% of that sale.
And it seems, it's just across the board, 70-30 is the typical split.
Is the general thing.
Epic, the example's given for PSN, Steam, and the Microsoft Store. So I'm assuming for all the other
I want to say Epic Games and GOG have a different split that are more favorable to the publisher / developer if they're self-published.
I think GOG definitely is the case.
I want to say GOG is like closer to like a 15% split or something like that. And then I feel Epic Games used to be a better percentage. That's why like games like the Metro games, Metro Exodus, that was the last one, right? Exodus,
it was, yeah.
Metro Exodus went to Epic exclusively for like a year or something like that, if my memory serves me correctly there. And I think it was because of that reason, because they were like, hey, They probably also got a publishing deal with
Yeah.
Epic where they got a chunk of money for that. But they went, hey, we get a bigger cut of the revenue split. That just makes sense for us, right?
Especially for a little bit of a smaller game studio.
This could also mean that you see other digital storefronts land on consoles, which would be revolutionary, right? Of being able to buy and download your game from a different storefront that is not the proprietary storefront. So, like, theoretically, you could download Steam to your PlayStation 5. You could download Epic Games to your PlayStation 5.
And we'll see it in a court of law. But I find it very funny. They're like, well, we can't really do that because of security reasons and stuff. And then they just leave it at that. And
Man,
like, what does that mean?
Sony's been giving that excuse for the last, 20 years.
So there's a reason why when immediately Microsoft started kind of pulling back from having a bit more of a sharing of games across platforms, they kind of went back to their model of
we haven't seen that with Microsoft yet. We haven't seen that happen with Microsoft.
We haven't, but the moment it kind of started leaning to that direction,
with their
PlayStation
CEO
was immediately
switch,
run back to your corner.
Yeah. Well, I think it was an idea that the industry was playing with.
Yeah.
And I think whatever number crunching that they're doing behind the scenes, they're saying, hey, we're losing X amount of dollars for Y amount of reasons. Whether it's because of hardware sales, because they're now there's no longer reason to buy an Xbox or no longer reason to buy a PlayStation 5 when all of the games are coming to PC a year later, or they are because the pound for pound, the amount of sales that they're getting from Steam is lower than they were getting on PlayStation 5. I think some game only sold 1 million units. I think it was Last of Us Part 2 or something like that. Only sold 1 million units. Not ideal when you're entering a new storefront. You want, more than that. And then what they're losing with that 30% in combination with hardware losses or whatever, they may still be making money, but they're just not making as much money, or they're not making as much money as they want to while playing friendly. So I think the idea is, why the fuck are we playing friendly? We're not making the money that we want to make. Fuck playing friendly. Mm-hmm. Come back to us, because then now they have to pay for the expensive console. Now they have to buy it on our storefront. And we get to keep 100%. And we know digital sales are rising. Capcom themselves have said that 90% of their sales are digitally bought. So we're just in the era where the physical game thing is on its deathbed, right? And then so now it's just percentages and how much you can do. But if you can, I'm sorry, you've been trying to get off the bench here for a minute. Let me toss it to you.
Well, I was just going to put in, as far as the number crunching going on behind the scenes, I can confidently say you can disregard any of that. Mainly because the last big push from the games industry was making the price from $60 to $70, and a lot of the reasons was games are becoming more expensive and taking longer to make, so we got to make sure we're making money for the developer. They kind of
I don't understand why you're disregarding the number crunching.
My point, because they said,
because that doesn't involve us. That's purely on their side.
No, I know it is, but I'm just saying anything they say or reasoning they give for why they make any decision, it's always going to be at the expense of their own developers and for their own benefit.
No, I'm not. This is not them saying that. This is me.
No, I know.
Coming up with reasons as to why this is happening.
Yeah, I know you're not being exact on what exactly they do.
I'm speculating.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But my point is, regardless of what speculation you might make, it's kind of futile at the end of the day, because they'll just abide by profit for themselves, not for the state of the industry, not for the state of how games are made.
Right, but I'm just giving you the reason as to why.
No, I get it.
I just don't understand the disregarding. I'm like, this, but that's why they're doing it.
I mean, that's my thing.
That's why we assume why they're doing it.
Yeah,
I don't see any other reason why they would, because it would benefit them.
Mm-hmm. And to the point of Danny Maduro in the chat, is talking about gigs of how much it would take to have all these different Steam stores on there, Epic Game Store, whatever that is. It depends. It depends how they integrate it, if they even do that at all, because this could just be... this could come about through some different way.
There's a browser function on every modern console, so it could just be you just have to go through your browser function.
Yeah,
and you can do it. But this would not affect PlayStation first party. This would affect third party though. So back to my example of Resident Evil Requiem, I could own it through Steam and download it to my PlayStation through Steam.
Yeah,
now it would probably be on Steam's end to uphold the file compiling of how to download it to my PlayStation or whatever, which sounds complicated, and I don't know how that works. So that would be tricky. I don't think this is really going to affect Xbox at all, because word is on the street is that whatever this Project Helix is, it's going to come with a Steam store page anyway.
Yeah, it's Windows integrated, but kind of Windows integrated.
Yeah.
With all the different platforms you can play games.
Yeah,
on,
so it sounds like Xbox was already heading in this direction. This would affect Nintendo though. Because now suddenly Nintendo has to work that way. Now, again, this is all very complicated, and it's going to be complicated for publishers as well, because you have to think about it. That's a different iteration of the game that you now have to put on Steam. So I have to now put my PC version of Resident Evil Requiem on Steam, but I also have to put my PS5 version on Steam.
And, I think it's more on the
they're
price.
going to do, but...
Yeah, certainly they're more concerned about how this is going to affect how they can price games on their own store.
Yeah.
And I think there might be a connection with the fact that there was a story that came out recently. It was misinterpreted. We mentioned this on the podcast, but I'll say it again, about how PlayStation was talking about changing the prices on its PlayStation Store, like being able to change it pretty often.
Yeah, the market-based experimentation or whatever. So, like, depending on market values, they could, if the hype cycle for a new God of War is up, they could discount God of War Ragnarok, or if they're finding that, like, for whatever reason, because a streamer popped off and went viral for Spider-Man 2, they could lower the price of Spider-Man 2 to increase sales of that. But the problem is that, like, you're in complete control of that. So like, who's to say how much you're charging me and what the actual value of it is based off of market pricing or whatever. I'm kind of out of my element here.
It's iffy, but the take people were getting from it was that they're going to raise the price of your games on the PlayStation Store. Conceptually, I guess they could, but they're talking about only doing it for lowering the price. Now, I have to think, was this decision made because they knew this lawsuit was gearing up?
Yeah.
And they were trying to, like, well, in a court of law, you say we're trying to, like, consolidate prices behind our PlayStation Store, but we lower it all the time. So, technically we're abiding by market prices already.
It certainly could go that way. I don't think it will. To put it out there, like, the trend seems to be, and the precedent set is that this doesn't usually work out well for the storefront holder. And I don't think it should. I think that level of competition is I don't believe in the competition helps the consumer tagline that they like to attach to capitalism. Capitalism is a boot on your neck no matter what end of the day. But this is a way where it's like, all right, well, Steam is selling Monster Hunter Wilds for $15 right now. Like, PlayStation is going to have to be more active and competitive in that sense, and also discount Monster Hunter Wilds on their store at the same time if they want to compete, because especially if it's only a few button clicks away, that's really the thing for PlayStation, is they're going to want to make this as complicated to get to as possible.
Yeah. And
then make the PlayStation Store as easy as it is. And they already do a really good job of, like, when you turn your PlayStation on, it opens up on the hub and they go, all right, here's a game you might be interested in. It's 30% off right now. Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So they're going to continue to do that. They may be more egregious about it because they know, and then they're going to make it to where, like, Steam is not a 1 click away thing. It's a 3 to 5 to 7 clicks away thing. And then it's like, well, how many clicks can we do before a certain percentage of the player base goes, fuck it, I'll just buy it off of PlayStation. I'm not even going to look.
Yeah.
On the consumer, it's on the consumer's responsibility to then do that, even though that is very shady and kind of a shitty thing to do. But that's how this shit works.
Yeah. And really quickly, just going off, I guess, capping the story, basing off a comment from the chat, what's the percentage, if we're ballparking, of this being successful? It's the UK, so more so than the United States, of going against PlayStation. But I don't really have...
I mean, us in the States, 0.
Yeah.
It's a 0% chance, because they can just do it in the UK, and unless the United States also wants to do it, and enact litigation to make it happen, then it's not going to happen. But for the UK people, I'd bet like a solid probably like 65%.
Yeah, I'd just go basic 50-50, because it really can go either way. You never know how these things
because
play
there's
out.
already been precedent set in that territory, I'm more willing to believe that it's going to happen.
But I guess the issue there would be, well, would Steam be expected to also have access to the PlayStation Store?
hence your and go backwards, and so well then it would just be on Sony to put a PlayStation Store on PC, which I believe they do have.
Okay.
But again, how much is that going to benefit you when you stop selling your games on PC now? You know, so now does if that makes it true, and the UK is not the most substantial player base to sell to, but they're up there, top 3 for sure, top 4 for sure in terms of Sony. So they may want to be like, all right, never mind. Yeah, keep putting these games on PC because we're struggling to sell anyways. But or they don't care and they just prioritize their first party sales more anyway because more likely than not, most players are still going to buy from their store directly. It's going to be let's just be honest, because the 1 to 2 click ratio is vast.
Yeah.
Like more people are just willing to go to the easier thing than do the extra
hoops,
extra hoops and the extra work to get to the other thing. There's always going to be a percentage, like you would always do that.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Me depends. It would really depend. Like someone would probably have to hit my phone and be like, "Hey man, this game's like $3 on Steam right now," and I'm like, "Oh well, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go get it right there." But then again. It's all dependent on the user experience. If it's a pain in the ass to download a game through Steam onto my PlayStation 5, I'd rather just not do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a $20, $30 difference, it's a one-time purchase, and then I download it in a 3-button click thing. But if I have to, every time I want to download a game, go through a 7 to 10 click process to go download it, and then it's probably going to download slower because it's not built into the system, and knowing how Sony consoles have worked in the past, it's going to be a pain in the ass if it goes through. So, it's all of that. And then, of course, you can absolutely, if this goes through, you can absolutely expect it to happen to the Nintendo Switch too as well. This is how these things work. Mostly, if it goes through, a positive thing for players, but they're going to make it as little positive as possible.
Yeah,
because they're just going to put all these roadblocks in the way.
Your life is not going to change. Oh, I don't think substantially.
Unless you're in the UK. And I mean, even then, like, you're all right, cool. You're saving $20 on third-party titles that you may or may not already have.
Yeah.
But always a positive. Always a positive thing whenever there's more options and more ways to buy things. So I'm very interested, very excited to see how that works, especially with the sort of the work that's been happening in recent times. So. Connor, we got to move on to our third topic of the day. Are you prepared for it?
I am.
Okay, great. Because it is your first penny of the day. Please go ahead and take it away, my friend.
Is it really? Here's a VGC article from good old Chris Scullion.
Love Chris Scullion.
Quote, the biggest, I can say it, fuck you moment in my career. Former Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan reveals why he left Blizzard. Kaplan left the company in April 2021 after 19 years working there, while Overwatch 2 was still in development. Now, in a lengthy interview with Lex Friedman, Kaplan has revealed the exact moment that, quote, broke, end quote, him, and convinced him to quit.
I will say, I know it doesn't look like that because of how every other website formats this, but this is the start of the article.
Yeah,
is this highlighted text? But and I've noticed from VGC you always skip it, but I'm like that is the start of the article. Is that?
Yeah,
but the way they format it, it looks like just a byline that you would have already read. But that actually exists up here.
Yeah, it's always weird.
Yeah.
Fucking losers.
VGC. Convinced him to quit.
Yep. According to Kaplan, the introduction of the Overwatch League, a global esports league for the game made up of permanent city-based teams like a professional U.S. sport, was a huge drain on resources and affected the development of Overwatch 2. But it was an ultimatum made to him by Blizzard's CFO that made him resign. Quote, in 2016 and 2017, I felt very in control of the Overwatch team and of the game as a game director. Working with Ray Gresko as the production director, Kaplan explained, it felt like we were running Overwatch and we were very, very successful and doing a good job, and I think fans were happy. And then as we transitioned, Overwatch League was the best intention. My parents always say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That was the Overwatch League. And it ended up being an albatross. And then Overwatch 2 was the same thing. And what ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called into the CFO's office, and he sits me down, and he gives me a date, which at that time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021, but at the time it was 2020. And he said Overwatch has to make some redacted amount of money in 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue of a redacted amount. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do redacted amount, we're going to lay off 1,000 people, and that's going to be on you.
Fucking shit, dude.
Not on me, the guy who's telling that we'll lay off other
right.
people.
The one who's enforcing this and making it happen. It's on you, the guy who just made the fun video game.
And that was just the biggest fuck you moment I had in my career. It felt surreal to me to be in that condition. As somebody who's worked on a lot of games, made a lot of games, you get in these meetings where they're like, Fortnite has 1,400 people working on it. If you just hire 1,400 people and make it free to play, we'll make that money, right? I had believed I would never work any place but Blizzard. I loved it. It was a part of who I was, and I felt I was a part of it. And I literally thought I would retire from the place. I never thought the day would come. And that was it. I was like, we're done here. Lucky for Blizzard, that CFO is no longer there. Say the name. Earlier in the discussion, Kaplan explained why the Overwatch League, which ran from 2018 to 2024, started off as a good idea that he had backed, but ended up growing far too complicated due to over-marketing, ultimately affecting the quality of Overwatch 2. Quote, we had a coalition on the team that really wanted Overwatch 2 built instead of the live events, Kaplan said, and then the executive pressure became monumental, and what would have been correct was to do more world events, but it kept going. But the major derail was Overwatch League. The weirdest part about Overwatch League is I believe in it. I helped pitch it along with some other people. We thought it was the future of esports and doing regional-based teams, ensuring minimum player salaries and player protections. There was a lot of very good about Overwatch League.
He is speaking like in this interview. It's not like a written statement. So,
no, it's not.
Yeah. There's some like weird saying things just from talking.
He added, the team's part of the dream was more like regional-based player protection, to try to make esports more of a first-class citizen because there were all these stories about shady teams screwing their players over. Mm-hmm. Where it got away from us was there was a lot of excitement about Overwatch League, like too much so. And then it got over-marketed to the people buying the teams. They went on this roadshow where they had a deck you could pull.
I remember this.
And you could put anything in a deck and sell anything. And they were pretty much selling the Brooklyn Bridge, that Overwatch League that was going to be more popular than the NFL. And we got a bunch of billionaire investors in these teams. And when 2018 started, for example, the day got back, they said, we signed this huge deal with Twitch for streaming of Overwatch League like a media rights deal. And that means there's all these commitments we made for Overwatch League. If it was, like in game stuff that had to exist, integration with Twitch, camera control, and that kind of stuff, the other part of it was a bunch of skins, uniforms for all the teams, which was not getting the art in the game. But there was a huge technical challenge to how all that worked and was efficient and hit the right memory footprint and all of that kind of stuff. And so all of your plans at that point kind of go out the window. You're not going to work on a new world events. You're not really even focused on Overwatch 2. You're just kind of treading water. There was a lot of talk of, oh God, the deal didn't go well, and we've got to make goods to make the deal better for them. And I'm like, just give them some money back. You know, if the deal isn't what people wanted, putting it on us, the Overwatch team, to support this beast. It was a great idea that the wrong instincts, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that's not damning, but there was too much focus on let's make lots of money really fast. And a lot of people got dragged into it.
All right, we can definitely stop there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sky.
Jeff Kaplan, stop talking.
Listen, lot of great insight here. Yeah. Most of it I think we could probably figure out from the outside, but just kind of getting the confirmation of like why things were going astray, why Overwatch 2 was a failure, why it felt like they weren't listening to fans.
And what do they call it when you have you can't say certain things after a certain amount of time?
An NDA.
An NDA. Thing. 5 years is usually the time NDAs expire.
Okay,
correct?
Yeah. So we're looking at that, and then, well, I mean, also like one of the very few positives of Microsoft acquiring Activision here is the removal of that CFO, which also allows Kaplan to speak a little more freely than he could have prior to these things. So
makes me wonder, because there was the big sexual assault allegations, the sexual assault and abuse that was going on at Blizzard, which, including that, even though he was in there during the height of Blizzard, at least the modern height of Blizzard, Jeff Kaplan was never implicated in any of that stuff. So,
as far as we can tell, Kaplan was on the right side of history here. As far as March 16th, 2026, and the limited perspective that Tavin has, in life experience, it seems like Kaplan was an all right guy, or is an all right guy. And so, I mean, yeah, pressures from Activision Blizzard on high, moving in on Overwatch, demanding more revenue streams and more revenue coming in, affected the development of Overwatch in general as a live service, but also Overwatch 2 as an entity, as an IP. That makes sense. Overwatch League sort of over-marketing themselves and inflating to a size that was not sustainable very quickly, also affecting that. Makes a lot of sense. This is probably why that single-player content, PvE content got scrapped, is because they were so busy treading that water and trying to meet demand for these other things that they did and didn't want to do, that they just didn't have time or resources to work on the stuff that they were promising. And I think even before the launch of Overwatch 2, there was a treading water thing where a lot of people felt like, yo, this game is really stagnant. It's been a long time since we've had new heroes or new content maps, or even when we do get content drops, they're not as big as they used to be. And there's just a lot, like, when we loaded up Overwatch, when they rebranded back to just Overwatch earlier this year, dude, I was looking through a lot of that, and I was like, yo, there's just a lot of crap here, like, that I just don't fucking care about.
Well, you know, we had some friends that were very, very big into Overwatch, playing competitively, but they also got in on the league side of things.
And paying attention and watching, not that they were players, but they were just paying attention to it.
Right, and from their perspective, they never really seemed to talk or speculate about Overwatch 2 or whatever that might be. They were always focused on the events. It's kind of what Overwatch became. And as he said, that kind of hindered Overwatch 2, whatever, or maybe the Overwatch, whatever they would, it was Overwatch 2 at the time. So, maybe that's part of the big reason why, it seems like it is, of why Overwatch kind of fell out of 100%. Popularity.
Yeah, I think that's clearly why. You can attribute that you can attribute that stumble, that falling off of Overwatch to the Overwatch League, which I'm not going to blame them, because it sounds like they really did want the best intentions for it. And in the early days, it seemed like it was a very good idea and that people were very happy with it, because it seemed like they were doing it right. They talk on player protections and paying the players correctly. And then even on top of that, they talk about, setting the world events, and everybody seemed real happy about that and watching it and streaming it on Twitch and all that. I remember those things going on very positively. I mean, there were some sexual assault cases on individual teams because of, gamers are sometimes bad people. I mean, people are sometimes just bad people. You put ego in that with a competitive atmosphere, it's going to get worse, So, I think there was, some real bad cases with female players or female fans and stuff like that. So,
easily believe that.
Which is unfortunate, but, that's not on Blizzard, or that's not on the Overwatch team. That's, of course, on those individual players and the teams managing them, which was not a direct Overwatch oversight.
Like there was some shady stuff going on there with the Overwatch teams behind the scenes, like with how they were.
No, I mean, people just act up. Bad people crop up and do bad things. It just happens.
Blizzard seem to have a bit more intrinsic problem with those kinds of bad people. But
what are you saying? I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, that Blizzard had a lot more than just.
It feels like you don't
people.
understand what I just said, and so you're drawing conclusions off of a misunderstanding.
I'm connecting Blizzard to this.
Yeah, and I think. Though it may seem like the same problem, I think those are two separate problems.
Or are they?
No, they're probably two separate problems.
Oh, I mean, it seems like there's too many rapists.
Yes.
Too many rapists around here.
One rapist is too many rapists, Connor. Believe it or not,
Well, you have to accept that's going to happen. At a certain point, you can't accept what's
going
on.
You don't have to accept that it's going to happen, Connor. You can do the best work you can to prevent and stop it at every turn.
And it's never enough.
I don't agree, but okay.
Well, since it's never enough, you always strive to stop rapists.
Death penalty will stop it pretty quickly.
Unfortunately,
no repeat offenders.
Unfortunately, it's not shown to. Well, it would stop them from repeating, but unfortunately, that does not usually stop that.
Anyways,
being committed.
Back to Overwatch and the story here. I really appreciate Jeff Kaplan coming out and talking about this. These are the type of updates to stories that. I wish we would get more of, and if we do get them, they're usually in a Jason Schreier book or something like that. So I'm waiting for the update of the flies on the wall for several studio closures or what happened behind the scenes on this move and that move, And so to kind of get this is to hey, this is why Overwatch really struggled in the late 2010s and early 2020s. This is why. And so we've seen sort of a bit of a comeback for them, which is fantastic. It seems like. Because ABK is under new leadership, that the creative team has kind of been able to regain control of their IP and set themselves back on the right track, which is fine, which is fantastic, and I think commendable. And yeah, the problem was the problem, and we I'm not gonna say got rid of it entirely, but we certainly got rid of the more troubling parts of it.
Unfortunately, some of them, yeah, well. But the thing is, who's the CFO? Just name him.
I mean, just look it up. Well,
I tried to look it up. I can't find. There's usually, I think it's a position that usually there's more than one person.
I'm certain that his name is findable. I mean, just find like the fucking Microsoft CFO, or not Microsoft, Activision CFO 2017.
Yeah, so it seems like it would most likely have been Dennis.
He also can't name him because
Durkin.
Because it then becomes not libel. That's print, right? Yeah, in print it's libel. Says Joe slander. It becomes slander, and then an offensible thing. And Jeff Kaplan will lose that lawsuit.
That's not necessarily true. Slander. There's the number one thing that you have to prove to win a slander case, right?
Is that damages.
Damages, but also, well, I'm sorry. The best defense against slander and libel is the truth. So, is he telling the truth or is he not?
I mean, yes, but legal fees are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if the billionaire drags you into court, they're gonna run you for all you have.
Yeah,
just because fuck you because they can.
Though it is important to mention.
And Jeff Kaplan's just a guy.
Mm-hmm. Unless I'm misconstruing it, my understanding with libel and slander lawsuits is the person who brings them usually loses. It's hard to prove that damages actually took place.
Yes, but you would still have to pay for a lawyer.
Yeah,
and come up every day just to defend yourself. And it's not like you get money back in a defense case if you win.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have to face the repercussions. So dragging Jeff Kaplan to court, just don't even risk it. Don't even risk it. He's probably got a lawyer on retainer saying, "Hey, yeah, you can tell this story. Like legally, you are allowed to tell this story, but like leave names out."
And you can, as you said, you can infer the guy left to 2021. It probably happened.
It's a Google. You do a Google, and you're like, that guy's the problem. And even
what's he doing now?
Yeah, like he's probably fucking in charge of goddamn Uber or something, or it's just some random startup company or something. These business types, they just move around.
They do. Like what's fucking Bobby Kotick doing now? Wasn't he like
something.
Coca-Cola?
I think he's doing some cyber security or tech something or something now.
Well, that's surprising.
I think so. Oh, we got another topic.
Oh yeah. He's a board member currently on.
On?
The company seems to be named On.
Can you spell that for me?
O-N.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a retail company. Ignite the human spirit through movement. Shut up.
Okay,
never mind.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of companies, Connor.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies.
There's people in charge of them.
I bet he raped somebody.
Jesus.
Yeah, a lot of them did it over there.
You can't say that to... That's
slander?
That's slander.
No, it's not, Tavin. Do you know why? Because I said probably. I'm not saying he is. I don't know if he is.
Right, but it's enough to drag you to court and make you lose a lot of money.
No, you got to make definitive statements. It's why whenever there's in journalism, when there's some guy who did a crime, it's like alleged, suspect, or suspect or alleged criminal or something like that. That you're being accurate for the time, but you're not saying they're a person who did the crime that they're being accused of.
Also, we're such a small platform that there's no way that our word creates any damages at all. So
that is true as well.
Anyways, moving on to our final topic of the day. This is going to be my second penny of the day. Go ahead.
Is it now?
Yes.
It's my second penny. Because you did the first two.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
If you want to read, I love you. Love reading.
I had it flipped in my head. You did the first, or I did the first two. So now you have the second two.
Also, you disrespected me because we were supposed to do the Jeff Kaplan story now. So you wasted my time, my finger typing skills.
I thought we landed on Jeff Kaplan third, but okay.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We got an article from IGN here.
Okay, great.
Specifically from Michael Kripe. Sorry, I said that like an insult.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, Kripe. You said it like a Harry Potter villain.
yeah, really. Embark CEO says some Arc Raiders AI voice lines were re-recorded by humans post-launch. Quote, there's a quality difference.
No, really?
Say it ain't so. Whatever your stupid name is. I can't even pronounce it. Embark Studio CEO Patrick Soderlund says Arc Raiders now contains...
I would have said Soderlund, but you put an accent on it for some reason.
The O has an accent.
I said so.
Soderlund. Says Arc Raiders now contains fewer AI voice lines than it did at launch after the team re-recorded some lines with real actors. Soderlund offered an update on the studio's views regarding artificial intelligence during an interview with GamesIndustry.biz. Among various updates that have brought new enemies, cosmetics, locations, and more, he says the team has already replaced some of its heavily criticized AI content with performances from real human beings. Quote, "We recorded some of the lines post-launch and made them with real voices," Soderlund said. "There is a quality difference. A real professional voice actor is better than AI.
No
That's
way.
just how it is.
What?
Indeed. We look at AI first and foremost as a production tool. We can test things internally. We can test 15 different lines without recording them, and then we know what to record. It's also a way for us to work, not replace actors. We don't necessarily believe in replacing humans with AI all the time.
Fuck off.
Even when he's trying to do some nice PR about how they're not really just going all in on the AI stuff, he can't help himself.
Just draw, just not say some of these things.
People
you
lie all the
just
time.
Stop
Just lie.
talking.
Yeah. Continuing, Arc Raiders came out in 2025, not only as a massive success for Embark, but also as one of the breakout hits of the year.
I'm sorry, we don't necessarily believe in replacing humans with AI all the time. Why do you have two quantifying statements
I know,
there?
right?
Just don't say either of them. Just say you don't believe in replacing humans with AI.
Yeah.
And then if you need to add it, but sometimes for business reasons, for business reasons, there's a reasonable reason as to why to do that or whatever.
You could say that. The problem is that's someone who's being at least a little honest and not trying to distract from the fact that he definitely is willing to use AI.
Absolutely do. The only reason they did this is because they got in trouble for it.
Yeah, literally. Even his complaints. One stain on its ascent, however, revolves around how fans responded to the team's use of AI voices for many of its in-game characters. Even as complaints piled, publisher Nexon defended its use of the controversial technology, telling GameSpark in November that players should, quote, "assume that every game company is now using AI," end quote. Although Soderlund assures that some AI content has already been re-recorded, it's currently unclear if there is any plans to eventually replace all AI material in question. He also wants fans to know that a lot, is in quote, of the voice lines in Arc Raiders were recorded by humans, adding that those who have contributed their voices to the game have been compensated for their work and time. Wow. We pay our actors for all the time spent with us in the booth and continue to bring many of them back as we carry on updating the game, he said. For select usage, we also pay them for the approval to license their voices through text-to-speech for lines that aren't as essential to the immersion of the experience, mostly ping system audio, end quote. As Arc Raiders launched, it did well.
Okay. It did quite well. All right, Connor.
Who would have thought?
We didn't jump into Arc Raiders. We didn't buy the game because they were using generative AI for voice lines. Are you now okay with buying Arc Raiders?
No.
Not me neither.
Yeah.
Generative AI is inherently theft. Anybody who uses it is an uncreative piece of shit. And
they're still using it. Even for the reason they're highlighting here. They said some voice lines are being replaced.
I can understand in the way they frame it, know, of hey man, we're just trying it out to see if the voice line even works, if it sounds right. Because that's true. Sometimes you write something down and then you get in the booth and you realize, shit, the line's not. Oh fuck, that's the words aren't working the way we thought. On the page it read, but in vocalizing it doesn't. That happens all the time. That's why you pay your writers to rewrite the lines. That's why you pay your actors to write for you as well. Acting is being an actor sometimes requires being a writer and being like, hey, if I just change these two words, it works. So let me just change these two words and say it how a human being would say it, and then it works fine. That's being a writer. That's writing. And the actor sometimes has to do that as well. Sometimes the director does it. Sometimes there's a writer in the room who does it. Why are we changing the way these processes work? Because when everybody is happy with how these work. If you're someone who is in a creative space, you know that this is how the thing works, and it works fine, and nobody has a problem with it. It's when you bring in this fucking computer who doesn't exist and isn't a living human being and is robbing the human being from being able to do that, that's where the problem is. So just stop doing it.
These are things that are decided before the game's even close to launch. When they've instituted these voice lines, when they're planning them out using AI, they just do that, and then when they narrow down what they want to do, they bring somebody in to do the lines. You don't have to release it as an AI voice. They did that because it saved them money.
But and then to then do, they say mostly with the ping system and probably smaller noises like
here,
damage effects or something or grunts and things like that. But okay, that's a day of work that you're robbing from an actor. Like, they could have come in on that day and gone, ugh, ow, ooh, tango. You know, like, stuff like that. It's a day of work of them just in the booth real quick. Let me get these 20, these 40, 50 lines out that are, like, real basic, simple lines that don't require that much character inflection. Like, get those out. You just don't want to pay them.
And to his point of every company uses AI, that's becoming more and more true, unfortunately for the most part. But a lot of it is on the back end of things, not content you've released after the game's already out.
Yeah.
That's voice lines or anything like that, or visual materials. These are things that are meant to shore up development time.
Yeah.
It's the ideal use of AI, not replace entire roles, even if it's minuscule. Because, believe it or not, we like voice actors.
It's a tricky thing, and as an artist, I have a lot of feelings about it. Like, I'm just generally pretty anti-generative AI in the process at all, because I do think you lose something. There's a girl at my work, she's like 20, right? And she's in college or whatever. I saw one of her assignments. It was weird that she had this, because she's not a theater person at all. She's a business major, but she's taking a dance elective or whatever. So one of her assignments was create a pitch for your own musical, and then create like a PowerPoint system. I saw her in 5 minutes in one prompt to ChatGPT create an entire PowerPoint thing with a pitch for a musical, character names, dialogue, general themes, and general plot synopsis of this musical in like 5 minutes. Didn't elicit a single amount of human effort or thought in it. Just da-da-da-da, and there it is. And if you read it, it's garbage. Because of course it is.
Yeah.
But it's just so it's so terrifying how easy it is to use AI as a crutch. And again, generative AI is inherently theft because it can only replicate. It cannot create on its own. So it's taking a bunch of influences from a million other things, and you could argue human beings do the same thing, but there is an element of repackaging and reworking it, or reworking an idea in some way that an AI just can't keep up with a human. I mean, the guy admits it himself. The quality is just better when there's a human being in the room.
Yes.
The problem is that it's not always going to stay that way, And if we don't litigate this now, if we don't put legislation on it now, we are at risk of losing what it is to be creative. We are at risk of losing the soul of creative works. And if you eliminate the soul from human life, what's the point of human life?
And as you mentioned, you use creative works because this is just, of course, we talk about this because we're a gaming podcast, but it's everything. It's every piece of art that's created. And they all want to save money, the people who run these companies.
I mean, it's not that, it's the boring side of life, too. My sister works in cybersecurity for some company or whatever, and she tells me all the time, she goes, the higher-ups are using AI to write their emails.
Yeah.
All the time. And I'm getting AI-written emails all the time about stuff that's happening in business. And I'm like, does this not seem like a huge security threat? Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, no, it absolutely is. And I'm like, okay, so why are we doing it? Why are we just overall accepting this? It's eliminating critical thinking. It's eliminated creative thinking. And it's just dangerous for everybody involved. So I don't understand why we're just okay with this. At all. On every single level, it just seems like a bad idea. We've had 70 years of Hollywood movies and books and all of this stuff since the first computers were around. We've had so many stories have been told about how this is a bad idea, and you guys are just tripping over yourselves to make it happen.
But Tavin, think about this for 1 second, right? Video games are the highest selling piece of entertainment in the world right now.
Yeah, the highest medium, yeah.
And if you integrate AI, you cut the costs.
Yes.
So you make more money.
Which is a problem. The costs are too high in video game development right now.
So it sounds like we found the solution in AI.
No. We could just accept the limitations of the technologies of the time, and just be like, hey, not every game needs to look.
Or
okay,
you can invest in the technology and make it not so limited.
Right. Which then makes it harder to sell the hardware that we're selling to the people. It makes the hardware more expensive so that less people are able to buy it, which means less people are able to buy the games that we're investing in to generate profit. There's no thought out logical reasoning you can apply to this to where at the end of the day it makes sense.
I'm certain we'll see this company not integrate AI anymore and only replace AI.
I mean, the way things are going, I don't believe this company exists in 5 years. So
you don't think so?
Great. They had Arc Raiders. That's fantastic. What are they going to do next? I mean, I guess they
Keep
could
putting
just
into-
monetize Arc Raiders forever, but the player base has been very vocal at the lack of content that has dropped in Arc Raiders since launch.
Oh, has it been the case?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the player base has not been happy, and even like the Twitch streamers are like, man, there's nothing new in the game. I think they've like added new robots that you can fight, and everybody's like,
This is the day.
give
this
us
is
new
the danger of
guns,
modern
give us a
game
new
development.
map,
You
give
always
us
gotta
new
have
modes.
something along the horizon.
Yeah.
Well,
This industry fucking sucks sometimes. I love the medium, but God, I hate the industry.
what do you think? Sometimes it overwhelmingly sucks.
No, sometimes it's okay.
Sometimes
Overwhelmingly,
it sounds like it sucks.
Who was it? It was a Japanese one that like the profits were so high that they gave raises to everybody.
It was Capcom.
Was it Capcom?
I want to say it was Capcom.
God, Capcom's just been the fucking goat this whole decade, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know, they've always no, but they've been great. They've been great this decade. You're right. We'll narrow it down to this decade.
There's probably also FromSoft too, I think.
From Software may have.
Bandai? Was it just Bandai also?
Oh, maybe it was
Maybe Bandai as a whole.
Yeah.
It might have been Bandai as a whole. I mean, as a publisher, Bandai isn't overly offensive with anything.
No, they're not.
No. I only like there's some I get like really mad at, and then there's some where I'm like, every once in a while they flare up and are annoying. Like Square Enix, every once in a while flares up and gets annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Square Enix is not like one of the bad ones. I wouldn't say. You know, but every once in a while they flare up, and I go, "Why are you doing that, Square? That's not nice."
And it was Bandai Namco of
Yeah.
an extra $435, like monthly salaries.
That's pretty great. That's actually an excellent raise.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
That's an excellent raise.
50,000
That was a
yen.
raise or a bonus?
A raise. It was a.
I think they also got bonuses.
They probably did because I'm seeing a. Let me see this.
They were like,
Yeah,
guys,
because they got a bonus this year, last year.
Yeah, they were like, guys, Elden Ring sold really well.
we got. Oh, Sony also did. It seems. They. Let me see. Sony and Bandai have abolished employee bonuses in Japan in order to raise base salaries.
In Japan. Yeah,
in Japan.
Okay, I mean that would make sense.
Okay, yeah. So they're folding their winter bonus into base salary, so they didn't increase their salary again. Is that the 435 I was doing?
I mean, that would make sense if Sony on the Japanese side would do that. Like Sony on the American side, no. They've been having a real hard time.
Look what they did with Spider-Man 2.
The way you say that always makes it seem like you thought Spider-Man 2 was a bad game.
No.
I know that's not what you're saying, but out of context is what it sounds like.
I get
you know,
that.
I know you're like, oh no, the game was great, but like $300 million sold great, and then we laid people off. Is what happened there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your episode of the Two Penny Gamescast. Let us know down in the comments below. I forgot. I need to be better about a mid-roll preamble. Like in the middle of after the first two stories, being like, "Hey, drop comments, subscribe, things like that." I got to be better about that. I had the thought, and then I forgot it as soon as the cameras were rolling.
It's irrelevant.
I mean, yes, but no, because somebody maybe makes it to the 20, 30-minute mark. You know
what?
It's very unlikely that they make it to the 50, 60-minute mark. You know, I look at the stats.
Not real watchers.
No, they're not real watchers like you, Danny Maduro, down in the comments below, who also dropped a comment on last week's podcast, even after being around for the entire live stream for it. So thank you very much, Danny. I did see that. I put a little heart and a like on that. I want to shout out Stinky Boy Oyo.
Yeah.
Oyoy? Stinky Boy Oyoy, who has consistently been in there. There's another one, Hilda something. Did I take a screenshot of it? I might have taken a screenshot of it.
Wait a second. I was thinking
Danny Maduro. Where's Hilda? I know Hilda's in there.
Sounds like you made her up.
I'll find you, Hilda. I think it was like named themselves after a character.
Hilda from.
Hilda, if you're still listening to this part of the podcast, please drop a comment down so that I can read your name, because I'm trying to find you and I can't. I take a lot of screenshots.
Too many. Hilda from.
Okay. All right. Hey, Hilda, drop a comment if you're still here, drop a comment. I'll like it and I'll read it. I'll read the whole comment on the show. So let me know your thoughts on the story. Drop your own 2 pennies down in the comments below. What is something that we missed this week that you wanted us to talk about? There were other stories this week that were worth talking about. We got some more details on Project Helix, which we briefly mentioned, and they don't seem that interesting, to be honest. There was some other stuff that was going on. Let me read it through. And so forth. So Sega had some conversations in the news about how we're
not making money.
Huh?
We're not making money.
They're not making as much money as they want to.
Yeah.
But they identified that it's not on the creative side. The creatives, nailing it. Hey, it turns out when you pay your creatives and let your creatives create, they create well. Sometimes that happens.
Well,
Sometimes that happens.
I don't believe that.
Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye
Close it
to the
out.
people.
Goodbye. I don't care. Get on with it.
You always try and get this like little negative caricature out.
Yeah, because I'm negative.
There's no need for it, you know?
We need more negativity.
No, we don't. I think we need the opposite.
Too much sunshine going around, don't you think?
Connor, it's been a few weeks since you and I got into it, and I just appreciate that. You know,
Got into
look
it?
at you being agreeable.
Got into it.
Yeah, where we like raise voices, start yelling.
Oh, well, of course.
I think the last time we did was for High Guard.
It was the last time. What is the next time?
Not to put, April 6th, Hard Truths, Bloodborne.
I see.
Let's see. Anyways, which by the way, now we're having deep conversations. There's no way he'll hear this because he never listens this deeply. Phil did listen to that segment and he was like, Connor's a fucking idiot. Like he didn't play the game. And I was like, I know he didn't play the game. Anyways.
I will say no one else wanted to play the game after that.
Hey, you want to play tonight? Oh.
Yeah. Damn. Is it done? No, it's done.
No, they're done.
Yeah.
Yep. Shut down. I did see, and to the point of like the game was quality and had people. There are some people who liked it. I did see TikToks afterwards of like normal gamers being like, "Man, what the fuck happened? I can't play my game anymore."
That's funny.
And I'm like, "Nope, sorry guys, because the internet's a fucking shithole." Anyways, until next time, have a great time. Bye.